Hey guys, good to see you again. And we're getting ready for Kentucky this weekend. Finally, after being postponed a week, we head to Lexington on Saturday for the Bulldogs and the Wildcats. And Kevin and Eric, this is a series that Georgia has really owned for a long time. When you guys were playing, I mean, it was Georgia dominated, and it's been that way. The Dogs have won 10 straight. Do you see that changing any this weekend? What are the challenges that Georgia's facing this weekend as we go to Lexington?
Well, I think the one thing that you're seeing is a team that in Kentucky that really believes in themselves more, and they really believe that they have the ability to compete with the Georgias and the teams that control their destiny, and that's something new. I remember 2 years ago going up there and they were talking a big game, and they really felt like it was their year to beat Georgia, and it didn't happen that way. Georgia still dominated last year. First half struggle that Georgia really did dominate, but it took them a half to get going and won that one 21-0. So I think you see a Kentucky team that believes in their defense. They think their defense can control a game, and certainly with them putting in Joey Gatewood this week, I think they're looking for a spark on offense.
I would agree with that. This is a Kentucky program that without question has started to close the gap some, just from where historically they've been to where they are now. Now they are not at a level that University of Georgia is at, or in Alabama. That they haven't made the jump all the way to the elite programs in the country, but they are as good as they have been in a long time, and they're doing it the right way. They're playing very good defense. They understand how to run the football. Joey Gatewood coming in he is a difference maker at the quarterback position. So they do have belief. If Georgia goes out and plays the way Georgia can play, it's a game that we should win. They still don't have the depth of talent that a University of Georgia has, but this isn't the Kentuckys of old. This is a team that if you come in and you make mistakes, they are at a position right now with confidence and the belief that they can go beat anybody. So if you give opportunities for them to stay in football games, they are good enough now to go win. So it's a different Kentucky team. They have made tremendous strides, still not at the level that a University of Georgia is at today.
There's some similarities in this game at different levels, if you will, because both teams are probably stronger on defense than they are on offense, and both teams are having questions at quarterback. Now, you guys, alluded to Joey Gatewood, the transfer from Auburn, who's come in. Terry Wilson has kind of been up and down, and now I guess he's dealing with an injury at this point. But Georgia's had some quarterback questions too. Kind of compare the two situations, if you would, from their defense and our defense, and both teams' quarterback situations.
I think the similarities on their defense are the highlights of the team, Scott. I think, they believe in their defense setting up their offense. So the defense has given up maybe a point more than Georgia is right now. And I think that's what they're going to bank on. I think they're going to try to come in and limit Georgia's passing game. To be honest with you, I think we're probably going to see a lot more 8 in the box, and they're going to say, Stetson Bennett, beat us through the air. We saw you have problems with that. They're +3 in turnovers. Georgia's +1. That will be a huge factor this week. But, Georgia, the rush defense at Georgia, I think they're going to run into a wall. I mean, giving up 65 yards, they're going to bank on running the ball more. That's probably why Gatewood's getting his chance. Last year at Auburn, he averaged 5.1, and that can hurt a team. When you got him at 3rd and 4, and all of a sudden he's making a first down, that'll be a big challenge.
Yeah, and just to kind of expand on the quarterback situations, very, very similar. You've got Kentucky right now relying on a transfer to come in and pick up the reins now and lead this football team. Gatewood is a big, strong, athletic quarterback that carries a lot of hope with him into this season. And maybe the difference being right now with Georgia is we had pinned our hopes on maybe a couple of different transfers, and those reins have been picked up by Stetson Bennett, that has played outside of the second half of Alabama, he's played really, really well and has really composed this football team to go out and find success. But in both cases, relying on new quarterbacks to come in and really provide a spark and settle offenses down to go out and compete at the highest level. So these two teams at different levels right now, but no doubt a lot of similarities between the two of them, where you're relying on defense to win football games. You're relying for your offense to go run the football and control the game in that fashion. So similarities there, similarities at the quarterback position in terms of what they were going to hope to have happen. That I don't think any question the disruption of this offseason has had an impact on both offenses to where they're leaning on defenses to win football games for them.
What does Kentucky take from that second half against Alabama, guys? And what was exposed within the Georgia team in that second half against a very, very good Alabama team?
Scott, I think more than Georgia getting exposed, I think it was Alabama just playing Alabama football. And, you look at some of the turnovers that Georgia had in that football game. When you're playing good teams and you turn the football over, especially when you're playing the number 2 team in the country, that's obviously going to have impact on the game. If there's any Achilles heel right now to the Georgia defense, it has been in the vertical passing game, where we've seen a handful of times this year receivers get behind our secondary where points were scored pretty quick. That doesn't necessarily fall into Kentucky's strength for sure. But if there was anything that is becoming a potential weakness that we've got to shore up and tighten up, it is in the vertical passing game and limiting explosive plays. Outside of that, it was we got behind the 8 ball a little bit against Alabama in the second half. We had to abandon the run a little bit because now we're playing catch up. We're still not built for that. So sure, are there some things that Kentucky can take, protect the football, try to force some turnovers, and maybe try to get us into positions where they've got matchups they like on the offensive side of the ball to attack us vertically. Because all of that said, even with the challenges there in the second half, Georgia remains one of the dynamic and dominant defenses in the entire country. And I think you'll see us play coming off of a bye week at an unbelievably high level on both sides of the ball, but especially on the defensive side.
And Kevin, I'll throw you that last question. I mean, it works on both sides. Kentucky's game against Missouri was not their finest performance last week. They were flat. Georgia can obviously look at that and go to school on that, like Kentucky can go to school on Georgia's game against Alabama. And Kevin, your thoughts on that from a Georgia perspective? What do we do with Kentucky after watching their game against Missouri last week?
What it tells me right there is, Georgia's got the opportunity to go out there and play their game after getting beat by Alabama. I think you heard Richard LeCounte talk about how focused they were going to be, how it was okay that they lost the game because they're going to learn from it. And I think you see that from Kentucky. They're going to do the same thing. I think it's the challenge of playing an all SEC schedule. I think these are the challenges that teams have to overcome. If you play a little flat on the road in the SEC, you're opening yourself up for defeat or a great challenge. And that's just something that each one of these teams, including the Alabamas, have to be on guard each week where they go. And I think you're going to see that from Kentucky. They've got a chance to be back home. They did not play good last week, but they're a good program with good coaches. They'll be on their game this week. But I think Georgia also has that focus, getting defeated, dropping a couple in the poll without even playing. These are things that motivate a team. And when you're at the level Georgia is, you always look for that outside motivation. And I think we've got a lot of it this week.
Guys, thanks for your time as always. We enjoy it. It's Georgia and Kentucky, 12 o'clock from Lexington on Saturday. Our coverage on the Georgia Bulldogs Sports Network begins at 8 a.m. with Kevin and Jeff, Dog Talk pregame, and then the tailgate show from Kroger Field in Lexington at 9. We hope to see you guys on the radio. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.